Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Morning Sports Podcast. I am BA. I am also surrounded by Jack Hirsch, James Martin, and Keith Ingle. I hope you gentlemen are having a very fine Sunday morning.
Lovely Sunday morning.
And
welcome to March.
With the lack of the whole pause right there, I can see that we were having a really good morning.
Welcome to March. We love March.
March Madness.
Yeah.
March Madness. Let's really get into that.
I'm the happiest day in the world. I hate February, so I'm a happy guy today.
Oh, that's not a good thing to say. Anyway, it snowed last night, so I'm not particularly happy about my weather here because it was a dusting of snow. And it's hilarious around here because once you get a dusting of snow, it's like they're worried about the salt shortage here in Michigan. I'm like, okay, well, stop putting salt down on like dust in the snow. I don't understand.
52 degrees here today. Yeah.
Michigan math here.
Nice weather.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, it was 53 on Friday here. Anyway, let's get into some March Madness. The top 10 teams that we have right now, of course, Duke is number one in the rankings, and followed by Arizona and Michigan, rounding off the top three. Duke handled their business yesterday. Cameron Boozer had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists as Duke beats number 14, number 4 Duke beats number 11 Virginia 77-51. If I learn to read my own writing, it'll be amazing one day. Impressive. The top 3 teams did an impressive job in the last couple of days of beating their opponents they played. I mean, you had Arizona dropped Braden Berries dropped 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists, and they destroyed Kansas 84-61. And that was number 14 Kansas, I believe. Yep, number 14 Kansas. So and they're beating ranked teams pretty high up there. You had number 3 Michigan on Friday. They topped number 10 Illinois in the Big Ten, 84-70. On the EXO, London Burrows, 60.7 assists and 7 rebounds and 4 assists. Hey, the top 3 teams, I don't know if anybody's going to unseat them. I don't care where they fall. Duke is playing really well. Watch out for Florida.
Watch out for the defending champion Florida. Gators are playing really good basketball right now. That's the team that I would say outside of that top 4 to keep an eye on for sure.
Didn't they just shellac Arkansas 111 to like 79 or something like that? 77? Yeah.
Ever. Yes, they hammered them yesterday, and they won down to Tennessee. Really well.
Yeah, we're getting to that one too, Danny. As far as those top 3 go, they were impressive. Let's get to real quick. They're not in the top 10, but they are undefeated. And Miami survived a scare. Miami of Ohio survived a scare against Western Michigan. It was a great. See, this is what makes good championship teams in March Madness, because they had to come back and win this game after they were down. And dude, I was like, if Western Michigan beats them, of course I'm going to gloat because I'm Michigan. You know, that's one of my schools in my state. But anyway, the point of the matter is, Miami prevailed. Miami of Ohio prevailed. And they play Ohio today, don't they? I think they play Ohio today.
I believe they do. One of the most ridiculous things: 68 teams, soon to be probably 72 or 76. And if Miami doesn't win the MAC championship tournament, they're not going to the tournament. Probably they're gonna be on the bubble for an at-large bid because nobody will play them outside of conference, and their conference, non-conference. Ranking is horrible, just strength of schedule because of it. But these teams won't play them either. It's hard for these mid majors who are very mid major, right? Gonzaga made it through those travails years ago, but for this Miami Ohio team gets left out of this tournament because they lose the championship game in the MAC, which I still think won't happen. It'd be a travesty to think of a team that wins 4 or 5 games in their conference in the Big 12.
Guys, I think we're putting a little too. I think we're putting a little too much emphasis on how good teams look at this point of the season. even though it obviously counts for something, because I think the vast majority of them know they're getting into the NCAA tournament and they're peaking for that. And the way we talk about load management in the NBA, I think the coaches are coaching a certain way that the players are rested and ready to go, because the NCAA is going to be a one and done tournament. You have to win 6 games in a row to go all the way. And ultimately they know if you get eliminated the first, second, or third game, that's all people are going to remember. They're not going to care where you're rated right now.
To Danny's comment, by the way, I basically said the same thing. They can only beat the teams they can play in their conference because nobody else will play them. So I just said basically they shouldn't get left out of this tournament because of who they've beaten. They're undefeated. Nobody else in the country is undefeated.
Well, you can look at UConn. They struggled yesterday. Okay, and barely won the game. But you have to look at the pedigree of certain of these coaches and certain of these teams and certain of these programs. And UConn has a pedigree. Had they not won a couple of the NCAA tournaments, a couple of years back-to-back championships, we wouldn't be taking them as seriously as we would. They'd just be a name to us. Oh, Connecticut, they're really not that good. But you got to look at the pedigree. The same thing with St. John's. This might be the year they finally take a serious run to win it all, because you look at the pedigree of Rick Pitino.
Did you see him get beat by 40 by UConn the other night, or no?
Well, UConn, but I just mentioned UConn, okay? So there you go.
He beat St. John's by 40 the other night, though. I mean,
I was going to say,
yeah.
I was like, what? Anyway.
I mean, Jack, are you saying that seeding doesn't matter once you're into the tournament?
I don't think it does. Look, you're going to have to if you're seeded low, you're going to have to tougher matchups in the beginning. It's a harder road to win it all. I understand that. But how many times have we seen teams with lower seeds, pull upsets? I mean, it seems to happen in the NCAA tournament a lot more than it would in professional sports.
First weekend, yes. As a rule, the cream rises to the top once you get past the first weekend. You have your outliers, obviously, like St. Peter's a few years ago. But
Danny is on one this morning. I don't know what's going on. He's got his coffee going or what's going on. He's on one this morning.
Well, it's 5:09 for him. He's probably been drinking coffee for 3 hours, and.
He has it good, I guess, with those LA teams.
Danny's got to go to bed about 8 o'clock at night, I hope, to watch these shows in the morning.
So the rest of the teams in the top 10,
love you being here.
Getting there. Houston, man, you gotta watch this team too. They demolished Colorado 102-62. It was not a good day to be a Buffalo fan, that's for sure. Then, of course, you said the good old UConn. They took care of Seton Hall. Sometimes, you don't want to. A lot of these schools, you'd like to see your team or these teams in there blow out a lot of teams, but then again, you want to see them what they're like when it's on the line. See what they can do, like Miami of Ohio when they beat Western Michigan. You want to see those teams have some grit and win games. You don't want to see these teams keep blowing out folks because you don't know what's going to be like in a tournament. Tournament's a whole different thing. We also have number 6 UConn. Number 7 Florida was all over Arkansas to Keith's point there. Number 20 Arkansas, 111-77. They're putting in NBA numbers here. And the St. Mary's upsets number 9 Gonzaga 70-59. Kind of disappointed about that one.
Gonzaga have been playing really good basketball. Their only really this year was losing to your Michigan team by a ton, but that was earlier in the year and, almost a different season, it feels like. But I like Gonzaga as a sleeper in this tournament because nobody's really talking about Gonzaga. I think they're 13th right now in the country. Is that what you said? Something like that.
They were ninth.
They're actually ninth.
They were ninth.
But they've been kind of under the radar for Gonzaga, and I thought this might be a year more. And this might not be a loss, but St. Mary's a good team. They're going to make the tournament too. That conference is going to get 3 bids probably for the first time, maybe forever because I think Santa Clara gets in as well. But and sometimes, losing now isn't necessarily a bad thing either as you get primed for because they start early. They may have one of the first conference tournaments. I think that one starts early next week. Gonzaga and St. Mary's, Western Collegiate Conference, I think, right? So good team, good coach. I want to see Mark Few get over a hump someday. He's been there with really great teams and not won, and maybe he'll win with a team that's not as well.
You kind of wonder with Gonzaga when this run's going to end because they're the ultimate bridesmaid of college basketball. Are they going to go the way of Butler, who went to a couple of finals in a row and then became irrelevant? I mean, once Gonzaga hits that wall, there's no coming back because it's not exactly a destination place.
It's actually a good example, a good comparison, Jack, because Butler's downturn really started when they moved to the Big East and had better competition, harder recruiting. And Gonzaga's about to move to the Big 12 for basketball. So that's no way. I'm sorry. The new Pac-12. My bad. I misspoke. They were going to go to the Big 12 and that fell through. They're going to move to the new Pac-12, which again, is it going to be better competition? We'll see. But they are leaving their existing.
Maybe the downfall was Brad
coaching is everything
leaving
too.
to go to the Celtics.
But I think what you mentioned about Gonzaga, Jack, is that they've been on a much longer run than Butler, though. So I mean, I think looking at them now, that they look like they're here to stay. I mean, it's just a matter of time when they're going to finally, just like you said, get over the hump, Keith.
I would think that would have to that would go.
This run is nearly 30 years long, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
This
maybe
is-
a good comparison is DePaul, who had a long run in the past and just never quite got over
They never
the
bounced
top.
back.
Wow.
Right. Exactly.
DePaul. That's a name coming up. College name coming up back in the day. Today's games is number 8 Purdue's taking out Ohio State, and number 13 Michigan State is playing against Indiana Hoosiers. The basketball team, not the football team. So, and Indiana Hoosiers haven't been that good. Right? Where did Keith go? What happened to Keith?
Do you think one sport helps the other? Like you mentioned, Indiana winning the national championship in college. Do you think if all factors are equal, a kid with a lot of talent who has to pick a school to go to play basketball, that might help Indiana, just the environment?
Not anymore. Those things used to matter, I think. I don't think it matters anymore. It might for some kids, but Indiana doesn't get the same kids they got. That's why they haven't won or even been in contention for a championship in the 20 years. Maybe more. They had one fluke run to the Final Four under Mike Davis after Bob Knight. That's it.
So maybe they take a page from the football team now and just and boost their NIL and take all the kids from every other state and improve.
My material's fine, by the way, Danny, just to be clear.
Yeah, I think you just had some technical difficulties.
No,
Danny's all over the place.
I was lagging a little bit, I think. Sometimes I keep my next studio open and it works fine. I had to close it and then refresh. So sorry about that.
I got you. Oh, you're good. You're good. College basketball is back. Of course, March Madness is everything. That's when we really kind of gather by the TV and watch these teams play. Some fans, but like us, we watch it during the course of the season. So it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be a really good college March Madness coming up. I really do. I think there's going to be some exciting games. I think college in general has really, at least in a men's sport, has really gotten us sitting by the TV and just being fandoms for these teams, because I haven't seen this much competition in a while. And maybe the NIL is doing something about that, which might be a good thing for that. And the word that Keith hates to hear is,
parity.
Parity, right.
It's
There's a
true.
lot of parity going on.
I counted the other day 17 teams I thought could win the national championship. And not necessarily because I could make a case for 17, but I could make a case for the 16 others might lose. That'll shrink before we get to tournament time. But right now, it's wide open, to your point. And in college basketball, I think there's more parity than maybe any other sport, quite frankly, that we talk about consistently.
And it always has been.
Yeah, you're right. It's not that I don't think it's because of NIL necessarily, because we always saw mid-majors. For a long while, it was because the mid-majors would keep kids there 4 years, right? So you had veteran kids playing against one-and-done kids with more talent, but that levels the playing field, the experience sometimes. So we saw some great upsets that way. We see them for different
there was
reasons.
There was always a Cinderella team. And Keith, what you're gonna have to do? I know you did football brackets and college football brackets.
Yeah,
You're definitely gonna have to have a bracket for
we'll do it.
so we can all join, including Jack. Jack's got to join too.
No one gets these brackets right. I mean, who is it? Gates has this $1 billion thing. If everyone could pick every single game right in the tournament, and
that's why it's $1 billion because nobody ever does it.
Yeah,
it's Warren Buffett.
It's like horseshoes. It's like horseshoes. You come close.
Warren Buffett does that.
Buffett. I'm sorry, Warren Buffett.
I would expect you to know your fellow billionaires a little better than that,
Jack. Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. Yeah. Whatever, tomato. They're both over $80 billion.
I have a comment that differentiates between the two guys, but I'll keep it to myself.
I bet. Let's not forget about the NCAA women's basketball either. Right now, the top 10 are UConn at 29-0. Number 2 is UCLA at 27-1. 3 South Carolina at 27-2. Texas at 26-3, Vanderbilt 25-3, LSU 24-4, and Oklahoma 21-6, Michigan 22-5, and Iowa 22-5, and Louisville brings up number 10 at 24-5. That's another wide open. That's another wide open bracket there. There's some really good teams in women's college basketball this year.
Well, more so this, but traditionally it's easier to predict who's going to be there at the end, amongst the women's teams, because the teams are stacked for the most part, the top players. It's a little more spread out this year than in the past. But I think as time goes by, it's going to become more unpredictable the way the men's tournament is.
Yeah. And I don't know who's going to stop UConn for the women's team.
Great documentary, I think it's on Netflix about Gino Auriemma and the UConn dynasty there. I think it's on Netflix.
We were just talking about him yesterday. It's funny.
All right, I'm on from college to, of course, the NFL 2026 Combine, which y'all love to talk about so much. Anyway. Hey, they said this is one of the fastest classes of prospects they ever had. And they ain't lying. They ain't lying because there were people putting up some speed. Yesterday was the quarterback, halfback, and running back and wide receiver core. And the top 3 for the halfbacks, running backs, Jeremiah Love, 4.36. Mike Washington Jr. Mike Washington Jr. was one at 4.33. Jeremiah Love was at 4.36. Desmond Claiborne was 4.34 something. I didn't get his damn time. Damn it. Anyway.
It was 4.38. 4.38.
4.38? Okay, 4.38. Eli,
I'm fanatical.
The guy that I was kind of looking at was funny. The guy was kind of looking at Navy guy, Heidenreich, 4.44.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that is pretty fast. I mean, he looks fast on the field, but you don't, and that's the difference. This is the reason why I get into this whole combine thing, because on the field speed is different than combine speed. So, but
right? I mean,
they don't take into consideration, like you're saying, the football speed. In a quick millimeter of a second, you have to make a decision how you're going to cut. Your brain is going to have to tell your body what to do. That translates to getting open in the field, catching the ball, anticipation, the whole package. They have these guys like they're racehorses, just run straight in a sprint. It doesn't work. I mean, that and the jumping drills, enough already. There's game film.
Great special team.
Film. Wait till the later rounds when you could throw a pick away and then you look at the guy's athleticism and you take a fly on him if you want. It's astonishing to me. It's an absolute disgrace if someone like myself over the years, and I'm being honest about it, has had a better read on the draft and has been, I think, more successful myself on seeing which players should have drafted higher than the teams are doing. They get blinded by what they see at the combines.
It's not always being blinded.
Selections on that. I told you before the show, that's why you got Aiden Hutchinson on the Lions at number 2, because all of a sudden, because of the combines, he slips one spot.
It happens. I mean, it's not an exact science. I mean, look, let me say this. It's either, I think for me, and I heard Aqib Talib say it yesterday. I listened to him on their show with Skip Bayless. He thinks that it's 35%. It helps 35% of guys that actually, like, say, for instance, when he got drafted, there's a guy named Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie that wasn't projected to be higher than him. He had good game tape, but when he did the combine, and then when they see the person, they see this guy in person, he was a lot bigger than they thought. That's another thing. They're seeing these guys in person. When they get out there, they see these guys, they're either smaller, bigger, or much more. I mean, because film, you can't tell for sure what a guy looks like. I mean, you're not sure. And interviews, that's the one big thing we don't seem to be talking about here. A lot of times the interviews matter. And when you get to know a guy's personality, you get to know a guy, whether you think he's lying or he's telling the truth, he's introverted, extroverted. Is he capable of being a good leader out there on the field? Those are the things that you're probing to try to figure out. So it's not just about as B like to say, the horse and pony show. It's definitely, it can trigger whether or not a team is going to take a guy.
It's the horse and pony show that the fans. But
yes,
on the other flip side of it, you're right. The interviews are important. They are important. But we're not sitting there watching people interview. We're sitting there watching them run up and down the field. That's what we're doing. So, I mean, that's the part I'm talking about. I understand there's a purpose for the combine, and one of those is to interview the players that these franchises are interested in. So, yes, I understand that aspect of the combine. But like I said, it's getting to the point where, everybody's speed is, oh, man, they're going to be great when they get in the NFL because they can go and fly like – I said I've seen players that flown like the wind and fell flat in their face.
So, I agree, but you did just mention that there's a guy by the name of what's the kid's name that played for Wake Forest? He ran a 4.38.
Had a right.
No, the running back.
4.38. Desmond Claiborne.
Desmond Claiborne. He's a guy that you look at the game. I looked at the game film. You can see that he has the speed and he has good vision. But he played for Wake Forest. But I mean, I'm not saying that that's a bad ACC is a bad division. It's just that it was tough. It wasn't as tough as like the SEC or the Big Ten. But with that being said, he confirmed what you saw in the game tape. And so that might catapult his draft stock a little bit higher than what it would have been. A guy like Omar Cooper played for Indiana. You weren't sure about everything with him. This guy went out and proved that he can do some things. The measurables show that he can do some things because he was overshadowed by what's the other kid's name? Surratt. So he was overshadowed by that receiver.
Right, yeah.
But this guy is the one that caught the high and tight in the back of the end zone against Penn State to win that game that they were going to lose. But his measurables showed that, okay, he might get picked a little bit higher. He's graded now as a first rounder versus being a second round, and Surratt is probably going to be a second or third round receiver. So I'm not saying that it's an exact science. And there's another thing that kid this on the flip side, Taylon Green out of Arkansas.
He will be the most overdrafted player in the draft.
Yes, he's going to be hyped. He's way hyped.
Anthony Richardson combine goes to Taylon Green.
They ran a 4.37, Jack.
No, but James, even in the first round, to move a guy up a few spots. Like my Jets are going number 2 in the draft. Now, there are 2 choices for them only out there right now. The guy who they should take is David Bailey, who's going to be the next Chris Jones. You don't mess around with him. I could understand the temptation to take Jeremiah Love, who might be another Saquon Barkley. I get all that. But certain guys, I don't want to leapfrog ahead of David Bailey like a Sonny Styles. All of a sudden, he's looking so great at the combines that the temptation to take him is there, and they actually take him ahead of David Bailey. In other words, you're passing on Chris Jones. You do that, the next Chris Jones, and that's what bothers me. You have enough game film. You've seen these guys. If you want to, if you know their college coaches and you know them well enough and you trust them, you talk to them about the kid's attitude. They don't need all these psychological interviews. You call them in for an interview. You ask them basic questions. I mean, what was it? Fernando Mendoza said one team told him they were hoping he'd get arrested or something, so maybe he'd fall in the draft. I mean, come on. Can you imagine that?
I don't know.
Hoping the kid gets arrested? Even joking.
That's what one of the commentators, a coach, actually said about Carnell Tate, the wide receiver. He ran a 4.54, which is kind of slow, but the game tape shows that he's a game breaker, and he catches contested catches. He runs smooth routes. So, and he said, oh yeah, he's pretty bad. The coach, it was the coach. He's pretty bad. I hope he falls down. You know, and the coach, they're positioned at like 30. They're like the Bills coach. It was the Bills coach. So he was hoping that he falls down. He was just being sarcastic, saying, "Oh, I hope he falls." You know, that guy's gonna fall. He's not good. Yeah.
Yeah,
but it was just funny
and
to
the
see
processes that. With that, and you don't know how far that can carry too. And what the combine is to executives and coaches and scouts and stuff like that. They're actually putting everything together mentally in the right way. Owners, on the other hand, do you think they really sit there and watch all this stuff? There's a couple owners that might do that, but there's owners out there that, get him, he's fast. He's fast. Like a kid in the candy store who has a toy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude.
There was one owner like that.
I want you to draft him or you
to Al Davis.
Yeah.
Al Davis used to be that guy.
Al Davis knew the game. I mean,
he did.
Yes, he did. Mm-hmm. He did know.
Yeah, but he would draft the fastest guy on the field, though.
We forget one word where we talk about all these kids all the time, and it's potentially. Jack was talking about passing on the next Chris Jones, potentially passing on the next Chris Jones, because we don't know whether any of these kids will be any good at all.
Some of them, Keith. Some of them, David Bailey. Worst case scenario, they'll be the next Leonard Williams if he doesn't cut it. I mean, he's that good. He's not gonna.
A kid from Oregon who turned out to be nothing, Thibodeau from, again.
I've said it all along. Thank you. I'm the one who said when they drafted him, what a fiasco to take him number 5 overall. Thank you for making my point. Because he looked great at the combines. Thank you. I was talking about Thibodeau, and how crazy it was for him to go number 5. He should have gone in the 3rd round. That's where he should have gone. Thank you.
Ooh, that's tough. That's tough, Jack.
How many Tony Manderiches are there? There's a lot of Tony Manderiches out there. That
guys are overhyped. Guys are charismatic. The quarterback from Vanderbilt, Diego Pavilla, what is he, 5'9" or something?
5'10".
I would look at his game tape. I would study him out carefully, which I haven't done in this situation. And is he worth a flyer in the 6th round for someone to take him and invite him to camp? He's extremely confident, extremely. So you like that in a quarterback, the personality. It's okay to take a chance in the late round. I think the Jets have 3 7th-round draft picks. You have nothing to lose taking a quarterback like him with one of those picks. So he doesn't make it. Those picks you don't expect much of anyway. But
I got to agree with Jack. I got to agree with Jack about Bailey. I think he's at least Leonard Williams. But he's got great tape. But there's another player I'm going to mention. He didn't work out at the combine, but he did interview a little bit. and he's your guy, Keith. He's Ruben Baines.
Yeah.
He's the guy with the short arms. He measured at 30-inch arms, and that can make or break a defensive end trying to get out of those breaks with offensive linemen. But if you look at his lower base when he plays with explosiveness. He has a lot of power, and he has great moves. And who he reminds me of is Dwight Freeney, who had 32-inch arms, short arms as well. But
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, he can definitely go into his bag. He can go into, and Dwight was short, 6'1", 6'1.5", 260, 270. He's a great comparison to him. I think this guy is going to be elite at the next level as well, but he's got to be in the right system. He's got to be in the right defensive scheme to allow him to flourish with the way, to master his shortcomings with the short arms.
That's a huge thing. Any one of these guys could fail or succeed because of where they end up as well as their own talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, a guy who has a lot riding on the line is Ty Simpson, the quarterback from Alabama. He has a lot riding on these combines because if he looks great, chances are he could go late in the first round, maybe to the Rams, who might think they're going to groom him ultimately to take over for Matthew Stafford. So he has a lot riding on it. Carson Beck, too, to an extent, a guy who I like a lot, is projected right now to go in the fourth round or so. But if he looks great in the combines, maybe he moves up to the third round, maybe even late in the second round.
I'll be honest, I have not watched him second. I've only read about the combining guys who have done well or didn't do well. And Beck has got some decent grades, as did Drew Allar, as did Ty Simpson. All got some decent grades. So maybe it will help them.
Hilarious.
Right?
You missed out, Keith. Yes, Beck got booed the whole time because he was in Indiana, of course.
Well, let me
hilarious.
Keith,
that I want to watch.
Ty Simpson, if Ty Simpson or Carson Beck, who would you draft if you're thinking of a future quarterback? Which one?
I saw a lot more of
your franchise is in trouble.
Carson. Yeah, I think if it's either one, you're in trouble, right? I think Ty Simpson. Quite frankly, I think I would take Ty Simpson.
Listen, look at the Saints quarterback. No one expected this from Shuck. The Saints, even though he went 40th overall, which is somewhat high, they took a bit of a fly on Shuck, not knowing, and it's worked out. Well, they might have their franchise quarterback, the Saints. The jury's still out to a degree, but the plan is to go forward with him because he did look good, all in all.
We do need to see,
that's.
I always say we got to give guys more time, but we also have to kind of relax on guys who look good because over time, and once teams see them a couple of times, then you really kind of tell what they've got, right? For good.
CJ Stroud. Look at a lot of guys in their second year. We don't know what Jaden Daniels. He was hurt last year. What's he going to do in his third year?
Again, the NFL separates the men from the boys. And that's always something that we say because it's two levels of competition that are completely different. With Bain, it's like you can tell some of those players that, like Bain, yeah, he has got a short arm span, but he basically dominates his side. So, if he's playing a men above boys kind of role in college, that should transverse very well into the NFL. Those are the type of players that you say, yeah, he'll be good because if he's playing at a professional level in college, then and he's making everybody look silly around him. That's what I look for, really. Somebody that's playing way above their competition, and those usually translate into pretty good NFL players. I didn't say they're going to be Hall of Famers all the time, but they usually transverse into decent NFL players. We also had the wide receiver group. Brennan Thompson had a 4.26. Xavier Thomas from LSU, 4.28. And Deion Burks had a 4.30. So that wrapped up the wide receiver group. And in quarterbacks, Taylor Green had a 4.36. And Hayne King, 4.46. And Cole Payton was 4.56. I know this is the day and age of a mobile quarterback, okay? But what I look for is the superlatives. Can you throw accurately? Can you make certain throws? I don't care about your speed, Okay, your job is a quarterback. Okay, quarterbacks are to throw. Having speed is a superlative. I understand that. That's an added bonus, like Lamar Jackson. But I look for quarterbacks to throw, make good pass. Put the ball where it needs to be at. I don't care about them running.
I don't care how far
Can you imagine, guys? Can you imagine you took the top NFL quarterbacks of today and had them do that drill in the 40? You would then draft Jackson Dart ahead of Joe Burrow if that were the case, because Jackson Dart would probably run quicker. I mean, so what does it mean? Come on.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
think
mean anything.
you have to really look at this is where Keith mentioned the game tape. And like you said, Jack, in regards to Taylor Green, it was no big name coming in. I mean, you knew what he was. I mean, the game tape is up and down. He has when you look at him throw, he kind of has a wind up motion like Vince Young. And then Daniel Jeremiah even mentioned that. So I was like, oh yeah, because that's what he confirmed what I saw. But he was asked the question. Charles Davis said he mentioned to him, sometimes guys, because of your speed, sometimes guys will make a translation to wide receiver. Is that something you would consider? He said, not at all. I'm a quarterback. Now, and this is a guy, this is far different than Lamar Jackson. When Lamar Jackson was being projected as a wide receiver, Lamar Jackson can actually throw the ball. His game tape showed totally different than what this kid did. This kid, I look at and say, I thought that, okay, maybe he could switch to wide receiver because his game tape as a quarterback is not all that great. And so I think in his mindset, I don't know who's talking to him in his ear, but you got to have somebody that say you have to be flexible because you didn't put enough great tape on the tape on film to suggest that you can be a quarterback that can go to the next level and excel or be a backup. Because right now, I wouldn't suggest that he even play in the UFL as a quarterback because it's just not that good.
You got a guy like that, James. You got a guy like that who Seattle drafted last year, Jalen Milroe. I knew he wasn't going to be a top NFL quarterback, but it doesn't mean he can't ultimately play there. Maybe be a viable backup if you need to put someone in.
Or in the Taysom Hill type role. He can be that type of player.
Once in a while, and it's not often, once in a while, you want a guy who could play two positions. If he could be a spot wide receiver once in a while, you could get him in an emergency at quarterback. Those guys have value. They're the equivalent of what baseball is, utility players who could play a few positions. There's so few of them around, but at least you have a roster spot, you have a career, you have value to a team.
Well, his mindset's going to have to change, though, because, again, he doesn't even – I mean, but that's what Taysom Hill said. But Sean Payton was able to get the best out of him by allowing him to be a utility player. It would have to be the same thing for this kid. But you have to have the threat of throwing the ball. Otherwise, it's not going to work. If you can't get the ball – and I saw Taysom Hill had a better arm than this kid. And so when I looked at the game film, I'm like, okay, he doesn't have that much of a great arm at all. But he can throw some accurate passes. It's just that there was no velocity to them. There was a lot of things you saw. It was just like, okay, it's just not – he's not a good quarterback.
You make a good point. What's the next thing we're going to see in the combines? The speed of a quarterback throwing a football, if they don't have that already. I mean, is that what we're going to judge?
Sure they do. That was one of the knocks against Tom Brady when he came out, was that he didn't have the arm strength that other guys had too. So that is something they I don't know if it's
did they have the radar gun on how quick the football was going?
I don't know if they had a radar gun on them, no, but they do judge their arm strength however they do that. So
and on a run too. They do have drills that they do in combine where they throw on a run. So,
and you don't have to have that great of a strong arm. I mean, look at the kid that went to the Patriots and ended up in Dallas. What's his name? Milton. Yeah, Milton. I mean, he's just not a good quarterback, but he can throw 80 yards down the field.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Cam Ward too, because Cam Ward once in a while comes up with a sensational play, and it's highlight reel stuff, and that influences, sometimes where a guy goes. They say, "Oh,
he's on a different level, though, Jack. He's on a different level."
Cam Ward might turn out to be a very good quarterback. He might not. Jury's still out.
Well, other notables Other notables in the combine these last 3 days, the Styles brothers put on a terrific show running. Also, the tight end, Kenyon Sadiq, had a heck of a day. So he'll probably get, to James' point, he'll probably go up a little bit on the chart because of his day. I mean, he accelerated.
But the game film was there for him too, though, as well.
Yeah,
that pretty much just confirmed what he did. I mean, so he's probably going to be the number one tight end to get drafted, because I didn't see anybody. There's no Brock Bowers in this draft, so it's going to improve his game stock. Somebody's going to need a tight end in the top 20 or 30 or so.
Jets go number 2 and number 16. I'm sure they'll give him a good look if he's that number 16.
You're not liking your guy from LSU, Taylor?
No, he's going to go number 2 overall. But the Jets.
No. I'm talking about the tight end that you already have now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Bailey. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a whole rebuild. I mean, for the most part, except for the offensive line, which isn't bad. That just has to get tweaked.
Yeah, but that kid that you just mentioned, Brian, he beat Vernon Davis's old record. He ran. I mean, again, a 4.38 is smoking for a tight end.
Mm-hmm. O-line. Did anybody see anything from any of the O-line?
That's coming today. That's today.
So, coming up. Anybody is impressed with anybody? It's kind of hard to follow the offensive line because there's so many players that are coming out for the offensive line, and it's really hard to follow. I mean, unless it's your own team, your own college team. Anybody on your side, James, that could come out at LSU and be a starting offensive lineman?
No, not this year. I mean, obviously Will Campbell was the guy last year, and so after we lost several linemen last year, I think this year that's what really got the quarterback hurt, is not having a really top tier offensive line. So it's not going to be too good this year. The top guys are, who is it? Moaga. I can't say the kid's name. Moaga.
Miami, for Miami.
Yeah.
He's a tackle.
So he's a top 5 guy.
I'm going to tell you,
he's
a human interest thing that kind of at least piqued my interest yesterday was watching Caleb Downs, and he was with his college coach, assistant coach there at Ohio State, Matt Patrizia. You kind of wonder, once someone is, leaving the school, how devoted the coaches are to see him get drafted. Now, I know there's a carryover because in recruiting, you want to show the NFL players who came out of your program that helps you going forward. But him and Matt Patrizia seem to be getting along really, really well. They seem to have that bond. You wonder how much that helps the guy's draft stock, considering that Patrizia, was a head coach assistant, his past involvement in the NFL, how much pull he has in moving his guy up the draft board. You say none?
No, I say some. I think, but a very small percentage. If we had to put it on the pie, I'm going to say maybe 2 to 3%. Because most of it is really the film.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you wonder if a coach has had a past player like John Harbaugh having Kyle Hamilton, whether that affects him thinking, I'm going to have the next Kyle Hamilton, in the safety and Downs, whether that is going to influence the Giants pick.
Well, what do you like to see sometimes? Like you just mentioned Kyle Hamilton. They showed a comparison of Sonny Styles. Actually, not Sonny Styles. Who was it next to Kyle Hamilton? They showed somebody that had similar build and measurables in regards to Kyle Hamilton, but he played a different position, and it was just incredible. But let me say this about Ohio State. They have roughly 3 players that are probably going to get drafted either in the top 10 or the top 15. And that's Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, and Caleb Downs.
He did. Caden Proctor, yeah. I like Caden Proctor too. I hope that Lions need to look for some offensive linemen. Obviously, they need a center. It all depends what's happening. By the way, free agency is coming up a week from next week, not next week, but the week after next week on the 11th. So got to be paying attention to that too, because that's going to play into drafting these teams drafting players.
David Edwards is probably the biggest interior or offensive lineman that's going to be drafted in. Who is it? Lindbergh. I'm about to say Lindenberg. What's the kid's the center in Baltimore? I can't think of his last name.
Oh yeah,
the kid from Alabama.
You're talking. What's his name? Baltimore. Lindenberg.
They're the top two linemen that'll be Lindenbaum. Yeah, they're going to be a top two offensive lineman. David Edwards out of Buffalo and Lindenbaum out of Baltimore are going to be a top two free agent offensive linemen. So everybody's going to be vying for their services. So they're going to make a lot of money.
And let's not forget the center from Carolina, Cade. What the hell is his last name? What's his last name? Cade. Oh. Anyway, they got two offensive centers that are
amazing
free agents.
Maze's last name.
How often does it help a team to get offensive line help in free agency? It usually doesn't when you look at it. I mean, I know the Jets made some moves, 2-3 years ago. They get guys like Morgan Moses. It usually doesn't quite work out.
It helped the Chiefs. They got beat by Tampa Bay in a Super Bowl. They overhauled that whole offensive line, brought in my guy from New England, whose name's escaping me right now. But that was one of the chief examples I can see of teams that have overhauled offensive lines through free agency and done well.
That's kind of the same with Chicago too. Remember, Chicago kind of really redid their offensive line this year. Ben Johnson did a heck of a job.
You got to think about Mekhi Becton. That you had Mekhi Becton when he went to Philadelphia.
He didn't quite work out, but he worked out.
But he was great in Philadelphia. Yeah. I mean, he's one of the best offensive linemen there. And
might have to do coaching may have played into it. I'm becoming more and more a believer that the coaching really does have a big effect.
You
look at Bryce Huff, how after he left Salah and went to Philadelphia, he flamed out. Then he got back together with Salah with the 49ers and became good again.
He was all right.
A question, these offensive linemen are so valuable. I think of Trent Williams with the 49ers. If they were both 22 years old and you can have only one for their whole career, Trent Williams or Jerry Rice, two 49er icons, which one would you take? And as crazy as it might seem, I think I'd go with Trent Williams. He would have actually more value.
Jerry Rice
on this.
All day long. You can only have one for their whole career. And knowing the way they each perform, they're both going to be healthy, let's say. Trent Williams is a shutdown offensive lineman. Nothing gets by me.
Jerry Rice any day, sir. You saw what he did at 40 years old with the Raiders.
But look at what Trent Williams is doing. What is he, 38? Look what he's doing now. He's still elite.
Yeah, I mean,
when he's playing.
He's playing, but he ain't scoring touchdowns. Jerry Rice is doing that.
Jerry's 60. Don't hold it against him. He's not playing as well as Trent Williams right now. Jeez.
But you need an offensive lineman because you can't get players like Jerry Rice the ball if your quarterback sitting in his backside all day.
Yeah, exactly.
So in retrospect, he is getting touchdowns. He's just not the one scoring them. He's the one helping the score.
I disagree with that. You can get rid of if you have bad offensive line play, you can still do great things by getting rid of the ball quicker. You can scheme a lot better. I'm definitely taking Jerry Rice.
Justin Jefferson last year, the great thing.
Tom Brady played behind a lot.
But it's the quarterback, though, Jack. That's the quarterback. Jerry Rice
if you got outstanding skill positions. Yes, you can get over the fact that your offensive line is.
And that's what we're talking about. Jerry Rice is outstanding skill position.
Yeah, he's one guy on a 11 player.
But that was the question. That was the question. Which one of those two? That was the question.
If they had their whole career ahead of them, I'm just talking about, a value pick. You can get a average receiver. But if you have a great offensive line and it's going to give the quarterback a lot of time to throw, that average receiver becomes a good receiver. But and as great as a receiver is, if the quarterback is under tremendous duress, their receiver's going to become ineffective. I mean, you saw it happen, Keith, in the Super Bowl with Stephon Diggs. He was a non-factor because of the pressure being put on Drake May the whole time.
Yeah,
Jerry Rice was a Super Bowl MVP, man. Come on, I'm just.
But they gave, he had
a good offensive line, though.
time to throw.
He had a good offensive line, though.
But
Their
Exactly.
offensive line was pretty damn good.
Yes, but he still got the ball though. That's the thing.
Okay, but they had
Because he was
time
able
to
to get
The
throw.
offensive line's not catching the ball, putting it. You got to score to win. You got to score to win.
And you got to be able to score to win. So your offensive line and your defensive line matter. The trenches matter. And I don't care what nobody says. Ain't
All right, let's do a poll. I guarantee. Let's do a poll with the people that are out there.
People go for the glamour. They go for the glamour. Guys like Trent Williams aren't on highlight films.
we're
The
talking about
receivers
Jerry
on
Rice.
highlight films.
We're talking about Jerry Rice and then using Stephon Diggs to use as a comparison, and that's not
Right.
fair. By the way,
No,
This is true.
I'm saying I'm giving an example. Stephon Diggs is an outstanding receiver.
He's not in the same breath as Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is in a whole nother
I'm
stratosphere by
talking about-
himself.
I'm talking about one game. Look at, okay, Patrick Mahomes is in anyone's league as a quarterback. We'll agree on that. When they lost to Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl, he was horrible because he was under duress every moment.
but he overcame that bad offensive line all year long to get to the Super Bowl as well because of who Mahomes is. That line didn't
Right.
get bad today. That line was bad all year. So yes, again, Tom Brady overcame lots of bad offensive lines. He didn't have great
Without a
offensive line.
top-notch receiver.
That's
And
the
with the-
quarterback.
So guys, great players at whatever position we're talking about, when we're talking about skill positions, can overcome that. Maybe not running backs, but quarterbacks and wide receivers can definitely over really, really great ones. Not
And
average.
it's not just that;
Good.
it's the running game as well. These guys just don't pass protect for the receivers.
And I'm not
They
saying
open up the run.
matter. Offensive lines and defensive lines, you're right, Brian. They absolutely
They matter. The trenches matter.
But certain guys can help you overcome those deficiencies. That's all I'm saying. Great players like Jerry Rice, like Tom Brady, can overcome some of that sometimes.
And if you got general managers that know how to build their team around what they know that they have, for instance, if you know you don't have a very good offensive line, of course you're going to go out there and draft a guy that's mobile at a quarterback position because you might already have your skilled players on the end, tight end, wide receiver, and a running back, but you just don't have the offensive line that you think your quarterback is probably going to be the guy he's the leader. So you got to make sure he's the one that's getting out of these situations because your offensive line's not going to be able to hold. Everything goes with everything. If people know how to draft and they know what their team is about, I mean, that's how you put your team in good positions to win games. You got people playing Madden. That's a whole different thing, with their team.
I'm going to put it this way. Maybe we're comparing the wrong two players because one's still playing and one's been finished a long time ago. Look at the resume that Jerry Rice has laid out and look at his peers where they voted him in the top 100. That should tell you who should be the number one guy that you start your offense, that you start your team with. He's in the top 3. I think the top 2, 100 greatest of all time.
I would say
Players, not receivers.
We should have one time for fun, maybe an all-time NFL draft, all of us, where everyone who's played the game in NFL history, where we take turns picking and rounding out of.
Jack, you gotta give us a break. I'm for it. Jack, you gotta give us a break. We don't know anybody in 1934. Okay, so you gotta make it more in the Super Bowl.
Keith is the one that would.
Well, the late great Mac made me learn a lot of those players, so I have a good idea of some of those guys now.
Yeah, but Mac was
Crazy Legs
fantastic.
Hurst.
I love him, this Mac. But Mac said you could get your franchise quarterback in the 6th round. He said you could wait for that. Address other needs. That would always be Mac.
Mac also wanted to give the Patriots a 1st-round pick for Joe Milton, and I wish we got it. That's what I can tell you.
And Zappy. He wanted Zappy to be starting
for about 2 weeks. He wanted
but
Zappy.
Mac was college quarterback. He did evaluate him really, really well.
He missed on Milton.
And just to wrap up the NFL news and the show, basically, NFL's 2026 salary cap is set at 301.2 million. So it went up like about 30 something million. That's good for some.
Well, it's 22 per team, 22 million.
22 per team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there really a salary cap when we just keep raising it 50 million every year? I mean, geez, good grief.
But you keep it. Hey, that's Goodell making the money for him, so they can raise that salary cap.
I know.
You know, I'm not a big Goodell fan, but he's making that money.
I don't need salary caps. I'm not for salary cap, so I'm fine with it.
I don't know about all of you. For all the years I've been following football, I still don't understand how the cap works. They talk about dead money, cap hits. I have no clue on the numbers, how to maneuver it. If you all of a sudden made me a GM, I wouldn't have any idea what to do with the money, how you move it around.
That's why you hire people for that, Jack.
Yeah.
They do have people for that. They have draft cap and salary cap personnel, accountants, basically, that handle that situation. Watch Draft Day. You ever see Draft Day, Jack?
Great movie.
That's a perfect example. Perfect example of
great movie.
That movie was, I mean, I enjoyed the movie, but it was pure fantasy. I mean, something like that would never happen, not a chance.
How do you know, Jack? I mean, you're not in the war room. A lot of these things, these trades actually do happen.
The guy would give back his 3 number 1 picks for something in the 7th round. I mean, come on. And
well, it shows you the desperation some of these teams will have if they want to get their
guy. The guy also would say to the Cleveland GM, would say to the Jacksonville GM, take my 3 number 2s. I would give you number 1s if I had them. And you tell me the Jacksonville GM wouldn't think, wait a second, if he give me number 1s, why am I taking number 2s? But that's interesting. The Cleveland Browns, wait a second. This is reality. Cleveland goes number 6 this year in the draft, like in the movie, and they're talking about trading down. If someone offered the Cleveland Browns this year 3 number 2s for their number 6 overall, do you do it if you're the Cleveland Browns? Interesting question.
No.
I would
not 3
say
number 2s.
I would say no, but you're somewhat close, though. No. I think.
I do suggest they get Kevin Costner to draft for them, though. I think that would
right. They need somebody over there in Cleveland.
I would suggest to do that.
That's really good, Keith. I love that one. And of course, speaking of franchise tags, Pickens from Dallas has got a franchise tag. That's good for him.
28 million.
Maybe, maybe it's good for him. I don't know how.
There's still a couple days.
It's not good for him. It's not good for him. They're going to try to negotiate, but if he doesn't, obviously the deal's not going to work through because he's going to want grand money. But he's going to be playing on 28.5 million for a season.
You know what? He doesn't have any leverage. If he dogs it, he hurts his value going forward. Call his bluff. Because teams
how do you call his bluff with the season that he had, Jack? How do you call his bluff with the season that he had?
Teams are not. Next season, if he doesn't put out, they're not going to give him a big contract. Anyone if he doesn't put out.
But that's the risk. I mean, that's why the franchise tag sucks because for a player. Is not for the business, the franchise, the organization. That works for them because you don't have to get this guy a big contract. But this guy gets hurt. He doesn't have a greater year than he has a decent year, but you taking his value down by doing that.
Try to sign them though too. I mean, these guys still try to sign these guys once they franchise them. So.
On that note, we do have to depart. So everybody have a great rest of Sunday. Catch Keith's show coming up, Streaming Conscious. Everybody have a great day.